I'd like to show you a little tool that we put together that has a twofold purpose. Number one, if you're new, it's really going to help you understand the residual rebate system. And number two, if you're setting goals, which I hope you are, it's going to give you clarity on what you have to do to get there and what the results will be when you arrive. So let's take a minute and walk through it, and then we'll plug in some numbers. So here we are at the calculator, and as you can see, it's very simple and very short. It's just about this long. And all that's required is that you plug in various numbers in the blue sections, which we're going to go over in just a minute and explain all that to you. But in case you're wondering, there's a full description of each step of the rebate program as you go. Then as you plug in these variables to see how you can meet your goals, you can come over here to the results section. You'll see on top exactly what your new members look like, what your shared rebates would be, your overage rebates, the total, and these will be graphed out for you, not only on a monthly basis, but on a 2-year goal, because that's where we're going to start. Another thing we've added just to help you out is a tab down here that shows you both the shared and the overage residual rebate charts for reference as you go. First, I want to make it clear I'm going to be doing this very purposely to demonstrate the various parts of the residual rebate system for understanding. The very first step is to enter your prediction or estimate of the number of active members in your shopping group in 2 years. You can plug any number you want to, but what I'm going to put in here is 500. The next thing is, what is your number of active shopping circle members? Now I'm just going to put 1 here for demonstration purposes. As you can see, we still don't have any income yet. The reason is we haven't done any shopping. So the next question is enter the amount of purchases you regularly expect to make. And just again for demonstration purposes, I'm going to put $80. And that means we still don't have any rebates because we haven't met the $10 threshold. So let's just go ahead and put in $100 to qualify for the $10 in rebates. So just to let you know, in the calculator, everything is based on 10%. Of course, you obviously know that's not the way it happens in the real world, and you have to generate $10 in rebates. So now that you've done that, you can see that you're already receiving $500 per month in rebates. And over the 2 years, as you ramp up to your goal of $500, you would have received $4,305 in rebates. Now, when we go look at that in our results chart, you can see that it's different. The 500 is here, but it's 2,000 here and 17,220. Let's see if you can guess why that is. Okay, guessing's over. I'll show you. On the charts, we assume that every member has a completed shopping circle. The reason is because we only put 1 in for our shopping circle. That makes a huge difference. This is only 25% of what's available to you. So obviously you want to get 2, which give you 50%, and you want to have 3 people in your shopping circle. And that would be $2,000 of rebates per month when you reach your shopping group goal of 500. And wrapping up to that, that would be $17,220 in rebates, as we showed you in the results chart. Now, if you look up here in the blue, that's your members, and that's the number of members you would have to bring into your group per month to hit your 500 goal. Here are your shared rebates that you're receiving every month as you ramp up to the goal, and this is the results with the total that's shown here in the gray numbers. Obviously, you can see here we don't have any overage rebates yet because it's part of the calculator. So let's go back. The reason we don't have any overage is because you're here at 100. So let's just add a little bit more right now. Let's just have you go to 200, which will allow you $100 in overage rebates, which will put you into the $10 subpool. Now, in order to see your overage rebates, we have to have some more information. What percentage of your group of 500 will wind up in each of the subpools? And you get to plug in those numbers. So for here, I'm just going to say, well, 70% will be in the $10 subpool, 40% will get in the $20 subpool, 30% in the $30 subpool, and only 10% in the $40 subpool. Well, you see there's still no numbers changed because we have to add in one more thing. And this is something I really want you to understand because it shows the accuracy of the calculator. Your overage group will always be smaller than your array group. And that's because with your array group, everyone is helping each other. You can only have 3 direct connections, and any additional new members are gifted. So in effect, you are really only responsible for a certain portion of your array group. But you are much more responsible for the connections in your overage group, which you know you can have as many as you want directly connected to you, and those connections have direct connections through 10 connections of subpool involvement. So with all that said, what you do here is you put in a number from 3 to 7, I'll just use 3, and that displays as times 10%, which then calculates the number of members in your overage group compared to your shared group estimate. So now, as you see, your monthly number has changed. Again, if we go to the results graph, you see the very beginning of your overage rebates. How can we improve that? Well, let's go back to the calculator. Well, when you come back over here to the input calculator, you can see there's a number of ways to do that. Number 1, you can shop more yourself. Number 2, you could increase the percentages in your group that people are shopping. And number 3, you could create a larger overage shopping group. And I think that we should start there. I think 3 is a little bit low. So let's suppose we could either go to 4, 40%, or even 5. 50% of your shared group will also now have overage rebates. And again, these are all variables that you can play with. All right, the next thing you can do is do more overage shopping yourself. So rather than 200, let's go to 300. Now I want you to notice here, as you add another 100, you get into another subpool. Let's take that up to 400. Now you're in the $30 subpool. Let's take that up to 500. Now you're in all subpools. And I also want you to notice here, you've gone from $2,000 to $2,599. If we look over here on our results chart, you can see that the overage rebates are getting a little larger now. You can see what the numbers are and how much were happening each month. Now the interesting part about that, basically at this small level of your group, your entire overage spending is returned to you. In other words, you've gone from the 100 to 500, which is $400 in overage spending. You went from $2,000 to $2,599, which means whatever you bought to get those rebates was paid for by the rebates, and they generated more rebates. So now let me ask you another question. You think when members start to realize this, that they'll do more overage shopping? Well, I believe they do. In fact, I think the numbers we put in here are very low. So I'm going to change those numbers now and see what a difference it makes to the rebates you'll receive. Instead of saying 70% in the $10 pool, let's make it 85%. And let's increase this to 70%. Let's increase the people in the $30 subpool to 50%. And have the people in the $40 subpool go to at least 30%. Now, without changing anything else, you're now up to $3,000 with $1,000 in overage rebates. Let's go over here to the rebate chart. You set your goal at 500. You go over here to the rebate chart. Let's look up 500. Let me see. Is it down here? There's $500, but that's not what you said. It said 500 people. Whoa, here it is right here. 363, 501. Oh my goodness. At 363, it's 2,000. At 501, it's 3,000. Do you think you could get one more person into your shopping group? Well, certainly I believe you can. Let's go here, and instead of putting 500 as your goal, I don't know, let's put in 600. All of a sudden now you're up to $4,312. You would have gone there actually with just one more. So now your results look like this, $4,312 on a monthly basis. All right, before we get done, I want to go back and do a couple extra steps. First, I want to show you what the difference is if a little momentum gets going and your group gets larger. So let's double it from 600 to 1,200. Remember, that's 1,200 over a 2-year period. Now again, let's go check out the results. Now it's $7,168 in monthly rebates and $63,000 in total rebates over the 2-year period. This is how the shared rebates come in, this is what happens with your overage rebates, and this is your total. Now I just want to point out that up here, this is the number of members that have to come in each month to be able to hit that goal. And these are not really large numbers. So using this as a guide, you can set your goals at whatever you want them to be, and then set about making them happen. I just want to point one more thing out, and then we'll be done. I want to go back to the input calculator. I want to go down here. I want to increase this to 70%. I know it's impractical to expect 70% of your shared group to be in your overage group. But what I can say is that the way this works is no matter how you got that number, if you have about that number, 840, in your overage group, then you can be expecting about $3,000 per month in overage, providing they meet these parameters. So even though it's impractical for you to have 70% on 1,200, well, then what you can do is reverse this and say, what size group would I have at 50% or 40% in order to have 840 in my overage group? So to keep that simple, I'm going to make it 50% because that's pretty good, easy math. 840 times 2 is 1,680. So let's go back here and make this 5. Okay, so it's 600 right now, but we go back up here and we change this to 1,680. When we do that, we come down here, we have 840 back here again. So now you've got a group the size of 1,680. You're up to $10,000 a month in rebates. You go look at your rebate chart. You see that that is about $3,000 in overage. And now your shared rebate should be about $7,000 per month. The point of this exercise is just because the overage rebates don't match up with the shared array rebates doesn't mean that they're less than or less important than the shared array rebates. When you look at the rebate charts, you can see that they each have their upper limit. In the shared residual rebate chart, you can see it's up in the neighborhood of $45,000 of rebates received per month. Whereas with the overage residual rebate chart, you can see that the upper limits are higher as you reach the full 10 connection level, depending on the size of the overage group you create or overage groups you're developing. And remember, this chart may not exactly match up with what you put into the calculator because there's several parameters. Now when we go over to the combination chart, what I want to point out is how this actually should be read is when you have 243 people in your shared array, you should be receiving about $1,000 per month in shared rebates. And when you have about 243 people in your overage connected group, you should be receiving about $1,056 in overage rebates. More accurately, it will say when you have 243 people in your overage group, you'll probably have more like 363 people in your shared group. So rather than making a total of $2,056, it will be more like $3,056. But that's way too much detail for a snapshot chart, so I just wanted to clear it up here and also give you perspective on how your overage rebates will catch up. So keep personally doing and have your whole group doing lots of overage shopping. So let's go back now and summarize where we're at with the calculator. Your group is at 1680, and again, over the 2-year period or whatever length of time it took you to get to these levels, you would have received approximately $90,000 in rebates. So that's a good look at the calculator, and I hope it not only helped you understand it, but also the power of the residual rebate system. Use it either as a training device, as I just did, or better yet, use it to set your personal goals as to what you want to achieve by contributing and helping us expand the Worldwide Shoppers Club around the world.